This is the February 12th, 2026 meeting of the Salem Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. My name is Rick Hartwig and I am chair. We'll start with the roll call. Alan Hollins. I'm here. Chris Donaldson. Here. Mauricio Flores. Here. Zachary Hammerly. Not here. Sigrid Olson.
Yes, here.
Delight Walker.
Here.
Fraser Wick.
Here. That's it.
Okay. That almost
Yeah.
scared me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And first order of business, we need to approve minutes from both December 11th of last year and January 8th of this year. This to January or December 11th first. Any of the people that were in attendance, any corrections or additions?
I thought I saw a typo, but I don't see it in, so
Okay.
can't be very words. Move to accept minutes from December 11th.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, Chris, thank you. Unless there's any further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. January 8th. Any corrections or additions? Nope. Mayor will entertain a motion to accept. Second.
I will move to accept.
Okay.
There is a second.
Second. But normally the motion goes first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that public comment, Mr. Easterly, you will be later on. All right, so we have Patty.
Hi, I'm Patty. I've had a number of conversations with Lynn and Mylan, the tree man. I told them what I would like to do, and they both agreed. And Lynn is trying to come up together somehow because Inglewood is celebrating its 100th anniversary this spring, which is March something. And she wants to have a party for Inglewood Park. And I asked her, and she said, oh, she'd love it. And I talked to Mylan in person, and he wrote me a nice little note. So this is Mylan's handwriting, not mine. And Mylan agreed, and he talked to Kelly, because I asked him if he could talk to Kelly, or Jennifer, I'm sorry, to see if it's okay. And he came back and he says, you got it. So there's $125 check attached to this note. And I told Lynn I would like, since I grew up in Inglewood, I went to school there from second on. And I played in the park for many years with my family. And also after I left, and I brought my children there and my grandchildren. So I told her I would like to purchase a tree for the 100th anniversary for the park, because I feel like I'm part of that park. And everybody seemed to be in agreement. So I just want to present this to you. And all I ask is that, can you make a copy for me so I could have it for next year's taxes? And that's all I want. And Lynn wants me to come there when they plant it or after they plant it and take pictures with the new tree. After they, before or after, whatever. So that's basically it. I told Lynn I'd be there, but I just need to know the date and time they're going to do the tree, so I can be there to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the park. I'm very much of a tree lover. I planted over 100 trees at Lansing Neighborhood Park there. And I created that park. And through a neighborhood association. And a number of my neighbors this last year got together and painted the fence blue to make the park look nicer. And I think it does look nicer. I drive by it all the time. But I believe in parks. I was on this board for a couple of years, and I was on the Park Foundation too. And I was part of Friends of Trees, and I don't know how many trees I planted in Salem itself. So I still want to continue supporting trees because they are very important and close to my heart. So thank you. So do I give it to you or?
Yeah, I can make a copy after the meeting for you, Patty.
That would be great. I just
Okay.
need a copy of my taxes.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Yeah. Thank you, Patty.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you, Patty, and thank you for all of your contributions over the years.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, this is kind of unfinished business from last meeting. The Mission Street Park Conservatory, Conservancy, excuse me. Their 2026 work goals. We had a presentation that had to, we could not act on anything because we lost our quorum. So what we need to do is to endorse that for those of you that remember the presentation. They do a wonderful job. I think that they need all the support we can give them because they give us a lot of support. So we need to endorse and forward their annual work goals to the Community Services Department with a recommendation of approval. Okay, is there any discussion on this?
I couldn't see anything but good stuff going on and proposed in the plans and the information presented, so I think that we should go ahead and approve this. I move to approve.
There a
Mission Street
second?
Park Conservancy.
There a second? Somebody seconded? Okay, somebody seconded. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sure. Park planning, practice spotlight, community engagement. Rob, you are on.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rob Romanek. I'm the City Parks Planning Manager. It's an exciting time for the Parks Planning team. We're about to kick off, or the city is about to kick off. Excuse me for a moment. It's about to kick off a major project. It's an update to our comprehensive park system plan. The current system plan was adopted by City Council in 2013, so it's been over 10 years, so it's due for an update. And as part of that work, I want to provide a little spotlight about what park planning does. And this is the plan that guides our work. And so I want to kind of pull back the curtains a little bit. We'll know what we do. So you have that context. Excuse me.
You're flagging.
They agree. So today is going to be the first one. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm just going to try to keep it under 15 minutes, and it's going to start on a very important topic, and that's public engagement. So up here, first I'm going to talk about what's on the slide. I think that's really important, but then I'm not actually going to read anything on the slide. Try to get this to go away. There we go. The light blue bubble, that is the city's official equity statement that's in our comprehensive plan. So if you want to take a minute and read it, but that is what equity means to the city of Salem as an enterprise. Updating the comprehensive park system plan is we're going to name the initiative. We're going to give it a name. So for example, the update to the main policy plan a few years ago was called Our Salem. And the current update to the transportation system plan for the city is called Salem in Motion. For this project, tentatively the name of the project is Parks for All of Us. That really emphasizes the focus on making sure it's a park that really focuses on equity and listening to the needs of everyone in our community and making sure everyone needs and a vision is represented in the plan. So engagement is the first great place to start. I mentioned a moment ago our Salem was adopted by City Council in 2022. It took years to get that process through to that point, and that a lot of that because it was the extensive outreach that was conducted as part of that project. That project amended the city's comprehensive plan for the most important thing for us to understand is it amended the comprehensive plan with new goals for parks and recreation. I'll talk a little bit about those goals right now, but I'm going to actually present them to you at a later time. The update to the park system plan is going to operationalize those goals and provide policies. So it's the next step. So the key point as we kind of introduce this topic is, community engagement is not a procedural requirement. It is the mechanism through which equity, access, and need-based investment are defined and validated. So it is the only way to do it. It's not like we're just going to check a box for we're doing community engagement. It is what drives the process. And just kind of tiptoe on those goals, those new goals focus on equitable access, need-based funding allocations, cultural inclusion, specifically like into the design of parks, parks as essential infrastructure, and safe and welcoming public spaces. So the goals really represent those thoughts. Now, when we think about our approach, it's a structured approach. So we really thoughtfully engage our community. It may not look that way from the outside. You know, what are you guys doing? Like, why do you do the things you do? And so I want to distill upon you today is that we put a lot of thought into it. We do stakeholder and outreach planning. And before I go any further with that, we think about Raymond Joseph, who's the other park planner here in the back, him and I, we think about in everything we do, what is the opportunity, what is the right match for public engagement in that particular activity? And it's always a little different. And we always think about it on this spectrum. This is from the International Organization of Public Participation. It's a well-known approach in our field, but there's a spectrum. So, you know, at the very least, we can keep people informed. We can keep stakeholders informed. So if a project is going to construction, we need to let people know about it. We got to let them know about the construction impacts. There's not a ton of opportunity to change the project, but the engagement is to inform them. And then on the far end of the spectrum is empower. That's really reserved for City Council. So we work to empower them to make policy choices for the city. And then there are some in-betweens there. A lot of our work, we consult with the community. We attempt to involve. Collaborating is something we do with you. That's how I want to simplify it for today, but we think about these things every time we do an engagement activity. What is the opportunity here? And so let's make sure I get through. And so I think this is a good one because we want to be really transparent as we go through this process in the next few years. We want to be transparent at each phase. What is our engagement level on any task we're doing? And we're going to try to be clear about that with these keywords: inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. I think that's all I have. So the key message I want to leave on this slide is engagement must match the decision being made. So we pair it, and that's what we do in our work. Now a little bit about before I leave that slide, hold on a little bit more. So a little about our process. The first step when we do a stakeholder and outreach plan is that we do stakeholder identification. Ray and I literally sit together with a spreadsheet and we think about everyone that needs to be informed by an action, and we detail it out, and that's where we start. So that's like the first step. Consultants help us do that sometimes. Then we develop what's called an involvement plan, and that's where this section comes in. We think about, you know, what are the opportunities to involve people, and which one of those is matched to it. And then we go into the outreach plan. That's like the mechanics of it. How are we going to reach them? What's going to be the tool? We think about, I'll give an example. We're about the update to the riverfront playground. That playground is intended to be inclusive. So at the beginning of that planning process, we organized a focus group meeting in this room with families who have children who don't have the full capability of using all the playgrounds in city. So you think about, we had young girls in wheelchairs attending this workshop. We had it here, specifically here, because there's parking, 88 parking quantities here at this facility that could support that activity. That's the level of thought we put into it. If we're gonna invite people who may possibly be mobility impaired, we gotta really think about where we are inviting them to. And so that's, I just want to, but that's like the last step of our planning process. And we really do, we make a written document of all those things put together. And that is our process. Again, sometimes we may have a consultant do that, sometimes we do that, but that is always a process. And I just want to instill upon you, like the time of day, childcare, we think about all these little details, especially when we're inviting the broader community. I want to talk a little about reaching beyond open houses. By the way, here's a photo of that event. Just like to give you an idea, we had some space out in the lobby, we invited them in here for the discussion group. This is a photo on the Fairview project. The consultants engaged Willamette Academy, which is a program, partnership with Willamette University, to really talk about really focus on youth, Latino youth specifically, so we can kind of get their unique perspective through that planning process. On that project as well, we partnered with Shangri-La, which is a nonprofit organization that supports families who have people in them who have developmental disabilities. And we wanted their perspective, especially if you know a little bit about the history of Fairview. That was really important. So this is our consultants doing a drive-through event where participants in their organization got to a special focus. We got to get their feedback and understand it in relation to everyone else's feedback. And we could understand that as we went through the process. The reason we are moving away from open houses and online surveys, like we still do those things because we want the broader community to engage, is increasingly we understand that people who have opinions do a pretty good job of expressing it to us. What we put our effort in is reaching people who we don't talk to, or we really feel like we need to talk to and historically don't come to our events. And so that's why we're reaching beyond open houses, and we will be doing that. Some of the other things that we are thinking about doing but haven't done, so like engaging seniors specifically. That's something we haven't done, but we think about doing, and maybe potentially engaging through rec programs, having intercept surveys in our parks. So like park users, we're actually, we're kind of thinking about that because we don't want to bother people, but we kind of walk up to them while they're using the park and get some feedback to them right there. I think that's all I got to say on this slide. Gonna keep moving along, keeping it under 15 minutes, hopefully. From input to equity-based outcomes. So a little bit about this. So it's about process, but also about the outcome. So there's two elements here. We're making sure that we're taking the process where it's engaging everyone, but then we're increasingly focused on the methods that we use to take that data and do something useful with it. So I guess what I want to really put forward here is when we do an online survey and 600 Salem residents respond to the survey, it's not a vote, it's not an election. We're not looking necessarily for the most popular response. Like that is really helpful, don't get me wrong, that is a data point, but we do other things with the responses. We do thematic coding, we read all along, all those comments, we read and we pick up themes. Safety, well, people don't feel safe, what can we do about safety? So it's not really so much about like, oh, that got the most votes, so that's what we're gonna do with the park. Kind of listen beyond that, try to pick up what are the themes. And then we sometimes we compared that, our feedback to like demographic information. We kind of triangulate data. So using public input as just one of the tools, we also try to use other tools to try to get at, what is the right decision for the community. And one more long-winded slide for me here. I want to talk about, for that one, I want to talk a little about managing trade-offs. I don't have a slide for that one. So often, very often, we get competing feedback, right? So we have people who have split opinions about things. And so, for example, active recreation versus natural preservation, desires for regional facilities versus neighborhood park and smaller impacts on the local neighborhood. Maintenance needs for a park element versus, so like focus on maintaining what we have versus expanding the park system. So that's often a pool we have. And then there's a big one is geographic equity. So like how do we spend our resources, making sure everyone's being served equally versus system-wide efficiency? How to make sure we have an efficient park system? Sometimes these things are at odds with each other. And so what we do is we use other information. We use environmental information, we use financial information, we use regulatory constraints. And so engagement informs our decisions, but it's not like a unilateral tool. We don't just do it's not just community outreach. We have to use other considerations to make our recommendations. And then last slide here is what to expect with the Parks for All initiative. So the first phase of this process, which is essentially this year, is we're going to be looking at the vision and values of the park system, and then we're going to be doing a system-wide analysis of what we have. And so there will be community engagement with that. The next phase will be at looking at alternatives for the future park system and different investment priority strategies, like how to grow the park system over time, and then policies that support those goals I mentioned right on in the beginning. That will use a ton of community engagement. We'll then do, and we're going to do a much better job of this than in the current plan, a focused phase 3 on implementation planning, realistic implementation planning, understanding what we expect to be realistic resources the city will have, and making sure our priorities match that. That's going to use a ton of community engagement as well. And then the final phase, which is also involves community engagement, is the adoption process. That's when this plan will go through a very formal process to be adopted by City Council. So if Parks for All of Us is to deliver equitable on-the-ground outcomes, then community engagement must function as the technical infrastructure. So this is the technical backbone of the project. It's going to be structured, it's going to be intentional, and it's going to be aligned with our adopted policies. It's not simply public outreach. It's more than that. We're out. So, public outreach is one thing, community engagement is a broader thing, and that's what we're talking about here. And so that's just the snapshot. And if you have any questions, I can take them now, or we can talk after line. But this is part 1. I think the next one, we're going to be talking about park acquisitions next. You learn about how we buy parks.
Questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious, what outreach is there to other cities? We know we have grandchildren in Portland, so we're there in those parks a lot. And we get to see the different things that are developing. So are you is there a group of you that go up and talk with other people in other cities and explore those options?
The main way we do that is the state of Oregon. There's the statewide Oregon Recreation and Parks Association. It's a professional organization. We go to events. There's an annual conference. Ray and I both went to the annual conference. There's a spring event typically called Parks Planner Palooza. So all the park planners in the state come together. And both of these events, the main focus for the park planning staff from all these communities, it's parks districts, the state parks are there's other folks as well, is for particularly on the parks planning side. So this group has other broader focus, I'm saying park planning. We share our successes and we share our failures and we talk about it. So that is something we do. And we learn from each other.
Yeah, I have more of a comment than anything. The engagement with the community is great. It's the right approach to go. With the end result is a master plan for a park, which may sit there for 10, 15 years. And then everything changes and you have to redo it. So when you were talking about the realistic, looking for where funds are going to come from, I think that's important because, half the people that were involved with the initial engagement may be dead by the time that you do that you get to that point. And so, that's very important, but, it's great work. The more we can engage the public and make them feel like they have a voice, the better off we're going to be. And that's in all forms of the city government. Councilor Barney. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I just would like to follow up and underscore the importance of the question that I made about talking with other cities. I recently visited Eugene and was very, very impressed with the development that they've made on their bicycle paths along the rivers. It's an amazing system, both sides, both banks, 3 bridges. A significant portion of the bicycle network in the city, and I think that it would be great if we could aspire to anything similar as a, and I hope someday it can come to pass.
The first meeting I went to about, this board, was an open meeting, at Lux Auditorium. And I found out that we had about the same amount of screen space that Eugene has. They have 3 times the budget at that time.
Right.
So, it's all about the bucks, and I am amazed with what we do with what we have. The park staff that I run into and talk to are all very dedicated. They have an awful lot on their plate. But I also know that, and you can tell me how many volunteer hours there are yearly, and how many of those hours relate to how many more staff we could have with those hours, but it's a huge number. And we have to rely on that because we don't have the funds. So. All right.
I got one quick question. You mentioned our Salem in the beginning. Is that a Parks and Rec specific, or is that a citywide kind of process?
Yeah, I would definitely want to clarify that was a citywide process. It was what we call the policy plan. So there is a document, and as a thought, maybe I should share it with you all, but it has goals and policies for all the city services or how the city grows over time, but for Parks and Recreation and for transportation too. But for Parks and Recreation, it just has goals, and it says policies will be figured out through this process.
Okay. Right. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you.
Right. Sorry, I had my hand up here.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering, Rob, what do you think the kind of most effective way or strategy that you guys have to engage with the community is? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's dependent on like what you're trying to aim for, but do you have is there one?
Yeah, I would say currently, off the top of my head, currently the ones that seem to be the most effective are two. So for the broader community perspective, the online survey is because a huge, it's convenient. People can just access it. But in terms of focused outreach, it's interviews. I just identifying, the representatives from the segment of community we're trying to reach, and just sitting down and having a conversation with them. It seems to be the most effective way. I mean, we've tried lots of things. I can talk the whole meeting about things we've tried, but that's what I would say.
Okay.
Please.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. We're looking forward to part 2. Okay. All right, moving on, the Neighborhood Association outreach materials and assignments. And speaking of community engagement, just a little bit of background. When I first got on the board, there seemed to be not a lot of communication between this board and the city council. So what we did was we instituted a liaison, and Councilor Varney became our liaison to the city council after she had been on this board, which made it very good, very easy, and that's helped us a lot in terms of feeling like we're a little bit closer to being a part of the city than before. Now they're going the other direction. If we want community engagement and communicating to our neighborhood associations, to our neighbors, it's very important that they know that we care about what they think, and we give them opportunities to get involved. And so a couple of years back, we instituted the liaisons to the neighborhood associations. You'll see last year's up there, and the blank spaces are spaces that we do not have, that were assigned to members that are no longer members. So what we need to do, and this is the first time we've had the members input on where we are, where we're going to be assigned, which I think is great. And we're not going to make this real long and involved, but you see the blank spaces there. First of all, there are 17 neighborhood associations, and there are 8 of us. Okay. Last year, the former chair had 1. Everybody else had 2 neighborhood associations, and 2 of us, myself and Debbie Miller, had 3. Now, as the new chair, I had 3 last year. I'm not going to go back to 1, but I'll go back to 2, which means we have to have 1 person do 3 neighborhood associations, if my math is right. So, and there are some that I had last year that I would rather not have this year. If you look up there, the NOLA. Yeah.
I do too.
NOLA is about as far away from where I live as there is in the city. And so it's hard to feel like I'm a relate to them. So if you live up north, you know, and I don't know what we're gonna do is you have a copy in front of you. What I would like for you to do is to just notate your first 4 choices in rank order. In rank order. Now, and you could put one down there for one that's I will identify. NOLA, the North Lancaster one is open. And if I'm going to do only 2, I would probably want Sunny Slope, because that's out where I live, and give up the South Central Association to SCAN, which is a very powerful neighborhood association. One thing you're going to find is that not all neighborhood associations are as organized as others. Some of them, they will help you to understand things rather than you helping them to understand things. Because they're very networked. They actually have people in their neighborhood association that are have their own board, park committee, and which is wonderful. And I learned a lot from SCAN, the South Central Association, which is, that's not the way it's supposed to work, but that's the way it works. But other neighborhood associations are not as organized, and they could use our help. Now, one thing that was sent to you was the SPIF awards that were given this year. So you have an idea of some of the things that, you know, they're not high-priced items, but they're items that are only $60,000 a year that are allocated. And so most of those are between 1 and 10,000. There was one there for 11,800. But those are the types of items that you can talk to your neighborhood associations about. And so it makes them feel like they have a voice, makes them feel like that we listen to them. I think this is a wonderful way that we can engage with the public. I am personally giving. Is there anybody of the returning people that would like to open up one? Yeah.
I would like to take over your North Lancaster NOLA.
Well, okay, we put that down.
Question.
If that's what.
Yeah.
Just for the benefit of the new members especially, could you briefly explain what the outreach entails, like the time commitment, et cetera?
It would be at least at least be attending one of their meetings. So that you can tell them about SPIF and you can answer any of their questions. Since I live in the Fay Wright Neighborhood Association, I'm attending all their meetings. And I might be on their board because they need people on their board. But at least one, and you may feel like, oh, this is kind of cool. I want to come back.
If I can.
Yeah.
Staff will support you two ways as well. I can talk to you one-on-one about, my understanding of all things park in the neighborhood association, so you are prepared. That you may have a little, ear into what maybe the issues or topics that they will bring up. Staff has also prepared a one-sheet handout talking about SCRAB. It's one sheet front and cover. I realized we failed to include it in the packet, so we will send it out to the whole board next week. And if you have any suggestions to alter that handout, let me know.
Okay.
Is that the outreach materials referenced here? I wasn't sure if there's other things or as you go to meetings, that you should be.
If you would prefer a slide deck, we would also work with you, help you prepare that as well. So we'll provide assistance to you.
And if you get on the city website and go to neighborhood associations and your neighborhood association you're going to, they will list the parks that are in there. And give you that, so you have that.
Also their meeting times.
And their meeting times and who to contact, their contact person, their chair. I went to Fay Wright and I said, I listed the parks and one of them was Gracemont. And nobody there knew where it was.
That's a great little park.
Yeah, it's just a little neighborhood park.
They've got a tree there that's about 300, well, maybe 250 years old.
It's to the west of Taco Bell, over that area and on South Commercial. Yeah, they didn't even know it existed. And I told them, well, it looks like it's in pretty good shape, so you don't need to worry about a spiff for it. Okay. Would it be possible for the the returning people to say if there's any one that they're listed there that they would like to forego?
Well, I would like to have Swan. Swan's opened up. And.
Put that down as your number one.
I did,
Okay.
but you asked us now. Can you ask us?
Well, I
now?
wondered if you wanted to give up anything that you were on the
Yeah,
last.
I'm willing to give mine up because they're out of my area.
Give up what?
I'm willing to give up both of mine.
Okay,
I'd like to give up Northgate.
okay. So Northgate is now open and
North Lancaster, I would take 40.
Southwest Association, the Swan, is that what you said?
I would
No.
like Swan as one of them, yeah.
That's open, okay.
That's all.
Not now.
But where do you get, well, you wanted to give up your other one, the East Lancaster?
Well, I can keep one of those. I need to do better, obviously, but I would love to have one of them at least in my area.
Yeah,
Okay, and even though I'm in SCAN, and I go to SCAN meetings every so often, I could do SCAN, but I don't know who wants to stay with SCAN.
He didn't want to,
What?
he didn't want to stay with.
You don't want to stay with SCAN?
Stan,
no,
yeah.
I would love to do both those, Swan and SCAN. Because Swan Parks I'm much more familiar with and certainly SCAN. But I don't want to hog the South either. I don't want to do
okay,
that.
we have to have one person that does three.
I will do 3 if I can get them. Both the 2 that I've got. No, not the 2 that I've got. Northeast, Nesca, Noah, and West.
Yeah, and I was looking for West.
Well, bottom line,
Then I could do, if you'd like to do West, I'd forgo that. I would go to some of the meetings anyway. Because I'm over there, but if you'd like to be the official. That'd be
are
fine.
you talking about West Salem?
Yeah.
Are you West Salem too? Okay. When I first got in this board, over half the board were from West Salem. And I think I was the only one in South Salem, the only one in South Salem.
Does anyone else want SCAN and Swan?
Hmm?
Does anyone else want SCAN and Swan?
Well, I'll tell you what, you put down everybody rank your first four. And then I will put people where I want them, where we need them, and I have all the power.
There you go.
Okay,
That would
This
be
is-
more
this is-
efficient than negotiating.
this is so different from my life since I retired, and I will relish it. Definitely, not, well, I won't say that word. Okay, so rank yours 1 through 4.
2, 4.
Yeah,
I gotta do-
just to make sure that we have as much coverage as I can get. Frazier and, Zachary, who is not on, will, yeah, just email. And they probably don't have a list of the neighborhood associations.
I can make this part of the follow-up next week that we provide.
Okay. I'm in the Sunny Slope neighborhood. Uh-oh.
My preference would be Sunny Slope, South Gateway. Oh, Sunny Slope, South Gate and South Gate.
Okay. Yeah, it's just, I was looking at Sunny Slope. Okay.
I could suggest maybe everyone wants to submit their rank choice votes to me, and I'll propose something to you.
Oh, they're taking my power away.
Well, I just doing the work, trying to help.
It's nice.
Gosh, I was looking forward to this, Rob. Okay, all right, and then Zach, he'll get what he gets, I guess. We just let it leave him where he was, I guess. Okay, all righty. Okay, any other, what am I missing here?
I'll just quickly recap. Staff will send out that spreadsheet next week, as well as the one sheet with a little bit more instructions. If you are able to complete your ranked choice voting today, if you want to leave that with staff, we'll work with Chair Hartwig to start developing that. So come back next meeting.
Okay, so you're not taking all the power. Oh, just most of it. Okay. Yeah, and one person's gonna have to have 3. And so hopefully that will work out. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Everybody knows what's going on? Tell me if you do. Okay. Thank you, and remember that, and I would take these seriously. I really would. Engaging with the public is always good. Making them feel like they have a say, that they have some power, that it's just not all bureaucratic government is, that's why I really like Rob's presentation before about engaging on any project. So without anything else, we move on to the Wallace Natural Area Enhancement Project. And we have going to Mr. Easterly first. Okay, you are up. Say hi to, I had at least one of your children.
You saw both of them in the past.
Tell them hi.
Chairman Hardwick, Planning Director Robinick, members of the board. I'm one of those people who walk in and out over the time periods and try to bring ideas that come from a part of Salem that's in a different county. It's called West Salem. The chair, sorry, Rob, Mr. Robinick had a little picture up here of the area of discussion. If you'd put it back up, I would greatly appreciate it. And I thank the gentleman who's trying to refocus. I guess I'm just going to be a blur, but that's all right on the process. I'm here as a personal representative from the West Salem Neighborhood Association. No one else could find the time to do that now. My role with the West Salem Neighborhood Association over the years has been many. Right now, I am a liaison and representative from the Glen Gibson Watershed Council. Our chair is here today if people have questions. The reason I've asked you to look at this is not the area, and I pointed out here, the natural area of Wallace Marine Park is a new creation. I'm sure Mr. Romanek could tell us when it was created, but for decades, Wallace Marine and many other parts of our park system along the river had what it was called a natural area, and then the recreational area of the different parks. The creation of that natural area as separate and distinct from something called Wallace Marine Park has created some concerns. One of those concerns that folks who believe in living outside have an area to do that in. And it reaches all the way from here, all the way along this whole thing. It used to reach down into here, but it doesn't now because of efforts to kind of avoid keeping campers out of what was in proximity to the area that the public office of the mayor, and I'm being very general on purpose, decided we need to do something to make a separation between campers and park users. This line right here, as I'm showing it, is approximately the height of a roadway that goes between where you access from Glen Creek to go into this part of the park. The proposal that is being discussed here, and Mr. Romanek is going to be talking more about it, you as a board, at the invitation and insistence and public support of Councilor Varney, have asked to do some planning. What's going to happen, and the planning part is, you need to look into this area which is called riparian. I don't know, but you need to look at maps that show which is a actual riparian area and which is a floodway. One of the problems with a floodway, there are certain national rules that tell we, the community, what we can do with it. This proposed road, which was created and adopted by council as a planning tool for the future, funded by parks SDCs, means that if, with your approval, whatever comes out of your discussion is going to happen upon your recommendation. The West Salem Neighborhood Association last week, and I don't have the document in front of me, said, we support this planning effort on your behalf, or in supporting of your responsibility as council has given it to you. Questions need to be asked. Where is the actual floodway in terms of the proposed pathway? The pathway, a paved 12-foot walkway that goes roughly from here up to about here. It doesn't address any of that part up there of this natural area, nor does it actually talk about these ponds and things here. The public access ends with that little roadway you can see there. I could give you a dozen questions. I don't want to waste any more time, but I want to thank Councilor Varney for saying, yes, let SPRAB had a shot at this. And second, the whole planning for the future of what the park system plan is going to require, and I would hope you would consider, what is the new role of natural areas within the total park system? Not just West Salem, but the whole process. That's because we have, as a community, created this separation between, quote, recreational and riparian natural areas. I don't want to spend any more time at this right now, but to say, one, the neighborhood association has supported and endorsed your participation and planning in this area. And two, the Glenn Gibson Watershed Council has given a very concrete, specific example of issues they want you as a board on behalf of planning for the future of deciding whether you want to build a 12-foot wide paved walkway, which is as close as 50 feet to an existing walkway along the road that goes from Glen Creek here and right along this area here is literally this paved area that has been proposed. They're within 50 feet of each other, where there's actually a walkway there right now on the bank by the roadway. I'll cease and desist. Happy to answer any questions, but I think the overall picture of representing the neighborhood association is fairly clear. West Salem believes that at best, how can you legally justify putting pavement in a potential floodway, definitely within the rules of riparian area? I know why it was suggested. I know why council chose to say, we'll put some earmarks on $1 million of SDC funds for a potential walkway that goes from here in this area here, from about here. That's my comments. Any questions, I'll have to respond, but I'll wait. I'll wait around till you as a board, if you need further questions at this point.
All right, thank you very, very much.
Thank you to the board.
Stay there.
Okay,
Can you do questions?
Yeah, he just asked, did you?
well,
Well, it might be better
Let's
after
have
the
the
presentation.
presentation, you might address the
Okay.
questions you
Yeah.
have.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I would suggest that.
Okay. He will, we're gonna go on, and then if there are questions later, we'll.
I thank you, Mr. Hardwick. That feels most appropriate.
Hey, Rob.
I thank you. Rob Romanak, again, Parks Planning Manager. My presentation today is going to cover kind of a few things. First, we want to introduce the project that was just discussed. We want to explain a revised project direction that has been alluded to. We want to outline the anticipated scope and engagement approach that we're taking. And we want to invite your feedback as before we even get started on the project. So that's really what we're doing today. This is an informal opportunity. I'm not looking for a recommendation from the board. I'm not looking for your thoughts as individual members. That's the plan for today. Project background and context. So first a little about the setting of what we're looking at. So EM kind of stole a little bit of my show here. So going back to that first slide, to clarify, this is Wallace Marine Park. This is Wallace Natural Area. They're considered two separate park units. They're in different park classification types. The natural area has different management approach, has different level of service standards, and I'll get into what that means. It's not the same as an urban park. An urban park is intended to be a destination facility for the whole community to use. Natural area is primarily for conservation of natural resources. I want to talk about a little about the Willamette Greenway. That's going to impact this project. The natural area is within the Willamette Greenway. We'll talk more about what that means as the project goes on. There is the natural area is full of sensitive riparian and wetland areas. That's what it is composed of. I will caveat that it has some invasive plant species management issues significantly. EM mentioned floodway, NEPA. FEMA map floodways occupy all of the natural area and approximately over 90% of Wallace Marine Park. So the entire area is a floodway, and if you are unfamiliar with what that means, so you may have ever heard of a 100-year flood event. That would be, so that's the floodplain. You know, a floodway is much more regular than that. So flooding happens here often. It is an area where development is constrained. I don't want to dust this last point under the rug. It is an area affected by prolonged occupancy of individuals experiencing homelessness. This project is not intended to attack that, though. I don't want it to be the elephant in the room. It is a part of this effort. Our initial direction, we were focused on evaluating a paved main path through the natural area. I'll talk a little bit more about where that was going to go. We heard some feedback, including from the people in the room here today, and we listened, and we just decided, hey, whoa, time out. Let's take a step back and listen maybe to our own thoughts. You know, let's practice what we're teaching. So we're taking a little shift in approach. We are not just gonna assume we're paving a path. That's kind of off the table. If that comes up, maybe we'll consider it, but we're taking a step back, and we're gonna be looking at an approach, and assumingly that's gonna balance accessibility, ecological integrity, recreational use, and long-term maintenance. So this is kind of the thoughts that we have at the moment. Yeah, and so again, we're not looking at constructing a paved path. We're looking at a long-term planning process, look at the vision of the property in the long term and see where it goes from there. That's where we are today.
So what is the vision? What was the purpose of the paving?
Yeah,
what was the
Purpose of
Wants it to be,
Excellent. I'll get to that
okay.
right now. The initial intent was to increase public use of the space to kind of bring in natural surveillance, add a new recreational amenity to the community. Those are among the ideas. So we were going to take an existing alignment of a path. So a path that exists today, a social path that gets really muddy a lot of the year and is inundated with water sometimes. And we were going to pave it. And that dirt road essentially runs through the natural area, you know, something like this. And we were going to pave it and ultimately connect it to the blue lines here, which are the existing paved paths in Wallace Marine Park. And I just have some, you know, broader contract, you know, we have paved paths that go across the river, go out to Wallace, part of the broader park trail system. And then the dashed red line represents a proposed shared use path that will go to Marine Drive, which is a roadway the city is developing in West Salem. So that was the initial proposal, and that's what we're taking a step away from.
Now, you said something before, right at the beginning of this, just a few sentences ago, you said surveillance. Did you use the word surveillance?
Natural surveillance, yes.
What does that mean?
So by inviting regular use of a space, we typically see less misuse. So this goes back to kind of basic planning theory. If you ever heard of Jane Goodall, Eyes on the Street. But if you have a space that everyone turns their backs on and you can't see out your window and all the houses look away from it, it's going to be an unsafe space, or it's going to feel unsafe. But if you have an active area where it's being used a lot, it's going to improve the feeling of safety, and it will actually provide safety benefits. So that is what I meant. I don't mean surveillance cameras.
Okay, and then how will that impact? Because okay, now I'm gonna say stupid questions, but I always feel being around a lot of homeless people is kind of unsafe. Does that make sense? I mean, I might go down there, but I would never want to bring family members who are minors down in that area. I
think you are getting it. So we wanted to improve. The idea was to provide a sense of safety by just having more use going on, recreational use going on.
Make it less desirable from a long-term habitation standpoint.
Yes, again, but I want to be careful. We're not punishing homelessness here, but yes, camping, living in the park is not appropriate, but we're not trying to punish it.
It's encouraging positive use of the area.
Positive use will have to be balanced by how that's managed. So if there's a lot of homeless, you know, you've got to start there. How is that being managed? And is that the cities making sure it's not people are not living there? Are they cleaning those camps out?
Yeah, there's been
Are they relocating? I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So
It's an ongoing and it changes. So what I understand the situation to
So
be
unsafe.
yesterday, it probably changed today a little bit.
yeah, I
So
mean,
I can tell you in general senses, my opinion, I don't have like hard data to share with you. But there continues to be a concentration of unsheltered individuals sheltering in the park up here.
Right.
mhm.
But over the past few years, specifically since like 2021, we've seen a reduction in individual sheltering in this part of the Nashville area. And so there was a thought that we have an opportunity to invite positive use into that area and maybe start making a change in that space.
It seems that based on regulations, restrictions, environmental concerns, the neighborhood association is not in favor of paving that path. And at least that's one of the reasons they give it. I'm not really sure what the route or how sound that argument is, or whether or not it should be a determinant of whether or not this should be paved. Maybe it should be gravelled instead of paved. I don't know why paving it would be a real problem. Other than it increases access as you've described and would accomplish, I think, much the goals that you described.
Well,
Without the harm to the environment, just because it's a natural area, putting paved access through it, I don't think that's gonna harm it necessarily.
Well, with the constant flooding, there'd be huge maintenance. I mean, it's a big issue. There's a lot to talk about.
So and again, these are
Zach
big.
is,
It was much
Oh.
bigger than just.
oh, thank you for letting me know. These are all great thoughts. They're gonna be what needs to be talked about through this process. That's what we need to work through. This is not gonna be a simple thing. We're gonna have some reasonable people are gonna have some thoughts and some disagreement in this process. I'm sure of it. So that's what we're endeavoring here for. So great feedback and it's all valid.
another thing is you've got the case of the dumb person, let's say me, who doesn't know that area well, and that paved path can also be an invitation to go to a place that you may put, it speaks to a bit more civilization, having a paved path. But it could also lure someone unwittingly into an atmosphere of potential. I mean, I could see a family going that paved path. It speaks of, civilization, and then they into a situation where they are around people using drugs or whatever associated with the homeless population. That would be my concern of someone not knowing the area and thinking this is my way to go through a natural area, and then they go into an area where they're encountering people they maybe wouldn't want if they had children. For children to be around, more or less.
Are those like man-made paths that are already there that are, those trails?
They're social.
Is that like park recreational users, or is that been primarily from the unsheltered traffic? I'm sure it's both, but it started somehow, and I don't know, I'd be curious to know because.
Fishermen use
History behind them and.
I actually couldn't, that would be interesting to know, but I don't have an answer for you. I know that EM is raised him, he has something to contribute there. I know those in social trails are used for lots of things today. Our own staff are using them.
Right.
You'll find the police department on
That's
those.
that's what I'm getting at, is that it's already a natural, activity that the community's doing.
Yeah.
We're not really changing any habits necessarily. It's just improving that access. I mean, there's been college campuses that just pave the natural trails of the students and just react to it, right? And then because of that's just what instinctually we're grown to. So I don't think we're adding to the problem necessarily. It can, the users are already.
I think again, there's gonna be a broad spectrum of opinions about it, and we're slowing down to make sure we can kind of encapsulate that and really think it out and get the right information on the table, get all the facts in line, and bring everyone's level of understanding of all these things up at the same time. So everyone has the same set of facts, hopefully.
Yeah, and the other side, the environmental is a separate discussion, but
Yeah.
from what.
Well, Kevin Dahlgreen, he's a big blogger up in Portland. He goes all over, and he was just down here in Salem. That's why I just saw one of his current stories about the situation, And now that's him, he's a lay person. And I haven't gone down there, so.
I'm familiar with the area. I live over there. I've been through it numerous times, almost numerous times a week, weekly for the last year or two, several years. So I'm familiar with the area. I see it as the first step of a segment, like I referred to earlier. It's a transportation link that is just a little segment of what hopefully will extend north of Kaiser and maybe all the way to Independence. I don't know, but there needs to be transportation along the river as another means of getting around. Not just for recreation, but I think that eventually that kind of transportation link will be seen as very valuable. And I'd like to see this go through as a very beginning of something like that.
For like bicycles and e-bikes and.
It would provide numerous transportation opportunities, not just for recreation, walking and biking and jogging, stuff like that, but also emergency vehicles in a crisis.
I'm gonna keep going, but I do have some questions I want to get to. So as it stands today, these are currently what we perceive as the goals of the project. And number 4, the trail is still a component, but it's, I would say, de-emphasized as the driver of the project. We're taking a step back.
Yeah.
And then a little bit about process and timeline. There's a lot here. This is also on the city's website. If you go to our parks planning page, you'll find it there. We are still working on the assigning consultant contract. We're gonna have a consultant team help us, natural resource experts, landscape architects to come in and help Raymond and I with this one, and help us all actually. We are evaluating proposals and in that kind of the final steps of that. So we'll have more to say soon.
Are they local? Is this an Oregon group?
The city has a pool of landscape architecture consultants on call already. None of them are, there's 6 of them. None of them are, they're all in Oregon. None of them are based in Salem. One of them is based in Kaiser.
Okay.
Will that be mostly from the recreation kind of design standpoint, or is it like factoring like Western pond turtle, if we're talking about environmental impacts, kind of some of that, what would be the ramifications of paving versus not paving or something?
Yes, so all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So to be, obviously the most successful proposal is gonna be the one that's responding to the context.
Right.
And that this is us today, and we're having a discussion preliminarily, and then our plan is to have a couple phases. And the light blue here is a committee that we hope to establish. Several of the organizations mentioned here today are gonna likely be asked to be on that group. Where the green kind of represents broader community engagement outside of that ad hoc committee. And then again, you'll notice that this is a little bit different than in the past. We're gonna come back to SPRAD multiple times to process it and make sure you're more engaged throughout the process. We're gonna try something different. And it's gonna take a little while. That's about all I have to say about it. So with that.
Our approval of the process?
No, I have some questions I want to pose and listen to what you have to say. Are there stakeholder groups other than the ones we've mentioned today that we should ensure we are engaging with early? So that's kind of my first question, and I'm just gonna go through them and just listen at that point. What concerns should staff be especially attentive to as we balance ecological restoration and potential accessibility improvements? What evaluation criteria should we emphasize when reviewing conceptual alternatives? So for example, just give one. We don't think about cost traditionally when we throw out concepts. I mean, we do a little bit, but we don't actually think about, well, that one costs 10 times more than that one. That's a criteria we could emphasize more. Are there lessons from other park planning efforts that we should incorporate here? Things that you've seen or you've seen us do before that you think is relevant here. And again, I'm not forcing you to answer any of these questions, but this is the kind of feedback I was thinking would be useful for us as we start this project.
When and how do you want to get those feedback?
You can email me or Ray, or you can email me, or you can just, if it's okay with Chair Hartwig, you can share it right now.
Okay.
The photos, excuse me, are from and kind of what, maybe where we might end up, but maybe we'll have a management plan that kind of focuses invasive species management someday. That'd be wonderful. And what you see photos is some of our efforts at Mucho Brown Island Park recently with volunteer-led ivy removal. And you might see former Mayor Hoy there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody would like to respond to any of those questions?
I would.
Okay, Alan?
Two groups that I think are stakeholders that properly will be engaged would be the Willamette River Keepers, that organization. And another would be some way of getting feedback from unhoused residents of the area.
Absolutely, yeah.
I am thinking about kind of representatives at this point, like social programs that may support them. Would you suggest maybe that's not sufficient? We might want to think, be more creative than that.
Okay. Well, the social programs serving or representing would probably have an idea of suggestions for who to contact, who to survey, who to question. I don't know, but I'd like a direct bit of information somehow.
I'm not sure that the paving, I'd like to hear more pros and cons. I do know that every day when I go to the dog park at Minnow Brown this time of year, I wish there was some pavement in there because it's really muddy. And there's a whole area that is not even used at the dog park because it's so muddy. So I kind of go back and forth. I'd like to know more of the concerns of the people who do not want it paved.
May you also be suggesting that we engage individuals with mobility impairments?
Sure.
Well, that's very important, sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that's consistent with all that equity access stuff.
yeah, right. And just to note, I do not have mobility issues. It's just I have mud issues.
You know, I'm sorry, but this is kind of at the quintessential consideration of some important matters. Natural area parks, people using natural areas, and how we want to balance letting them alone and being natural, and how we want to provide public access to those things. And that's an individual judgment. There's no objective way of saying that has to happen or this has to happen. So it's going to be finding people's priorities and making some decisions. It has happened elsewhere to have those kinds of things that close to the river without problems of people running into folks they don't like. It's been made to work. And I think that we can. So I'm in favor of the process that you have proposed. I think it's very thorough and appropriate and equitable. It's a little lengthy. If there's anything that can be done to compress that, I think it would be appropriate, but good work. Maybe move ahead.
Well, I have a question. I want to come back there. Like right now, if I got in my car and I went down to that park just by myself and walked that path, what it would be. Would I
Your
be,
shoes dirty.
no, but I would be safe, right? That's a safe place, right?
That's a judgment call.
Yeah, I did not take my family down there. We don't go across the bridge. When they first opened up the bridge, the walking bridge, we loved it. We were so excited. We were riding bikes down there, and that was the first 6 months. And after that, it was so much discomfort with the people that were there and that were sitting and camping, and we stopped using it. I haven't used it in years. And that isn't just me, it's people that come visit, our family can invite people down there. It's very uncomfortable. So I'm gonna say that Salem, we have a lot of work to do. It's not just this area. We know, it's right under our bridges going across Center and Marion. So there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. And I'd like to know more what's happening with that, where we are with all of that.
So I might do this. I think I might do this just because I'm curious myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't been over there. I feel like walking that piece of ground would be.
and I think everybody should explore.
I walk my dog there weekly.
And know
Yeah.
more. You're comfortable in. So, more to learn, yeah.
Now, we had a problem in the boat dock area with cars that were harassing that one kayak rental company. And I know that's not right directly there, but if you do pave a path that's wide, or would be a problem of those vehicles going down those paths? I don't know.
I would say like it's not something to worry about, but typically we've gotten pretty good at, unfortunately, out of necessity, hardening our edges, if that makes sense to you.
And you have
Keeping vehicles,
barriers that
yes,
bicycles and wheelchairs can get
Yeah,
through.
yes,
right.
yeah.
That's an important consideration. It was only 2 months ago I saw evidence of a car pickup, probably four-wheel drive pickup, I believe, cutting cookies out in the soccer fields there in Wallace Marine Park. It was nasty, and there's quite a bit of damage that it's been recovered. But the hardening is an important consideration of the entrance points for some of those places. That's continue to need to be attended.
Okay, anything else?
Just question 4 up there, or, yeah, question 4, any other park planning efforts, maybe not just even in Salem, but we've mentioned Portland, other places that have similar issues. Just kind of a concern of unintended consequences or outcomes, really, and that, if we do pave something and make a big investment and we change a location, if people still don't feel safe going there, and if there's still that, well, on the edge of this, there's still a community, which means we don't have recreational use. Suddenly now that's a shopping cart highway, or it exacerbates a problem that we were trying to change. And just seeing if there's other, places where I've done similar things that had something come out of it that was an investment that actually made things worse.
I'm sure Portland has quite a few.
Okay. Anything else? All right, Councilor Barney.
Thank you. I had a question. I wanted to know, because this is part of, when will we get more information on regulatory restrictions? Because this would impact the planning of the future use of the natural area. I'd like to know what we can do and what we can't do early in this process, so we kind of have an idea of what we're talking about, what we can even do and where.
Sure, yeah, that's
Okay.
a great question.
Go ahead.
Do you want me, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, and then I just
Yeah.
had a.
That kind of regulatory constraints, or constraints in general, but regulatory constraints included, will be an early item of phase 2, so that when we go out for that initial engagement round, there's some shared understanding of what the limits are or what the repercussions are. So like, to the extent we can simply explain the FEMA no rise issues and the new regulations, we will try to share that as part of the outreach. And of course, the technical committee is going to go much more in depth on that. And this group, we're probably going to go a little bit more in depth than we would just for the general public. But we will have, that's part of the consultant's assignment.
Well, I appreciate that, because I've heard that we can't expand our softball fields, for example, because of regulations, and that's a more permanent structure type. So does that apply to other permanent structures, et cetera? So that's why I'm asking, because I don't know at all. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to add, for any of you who want to go visit Wallace, I'm available this weekend. Get a hold of me. We can't have a quorum, but I can give you a tour and walk you around. I spend time there. I'm just throwing that out there. I won't get you in trouble. I won't, but I have some background. I was on the Wallace Marine Park work group that came together right after COVID, when we had a lot of camping going on in Wallace Marine Park, and we started that systematic process of cleaning it out area by area. That's also when the homeless services team was established, and the SOS team, which goes in and cleans up things that we are, both of those teams have been expanded and are continuing to be used. But that actually started in Wallace Marine. So I just have information. I don't want to take up all your time right now, but I wanted to just throw that out there. Okay? Okay.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay. McCabe Park Bond Project update.
Fortunately, you all get to listen to me again.
Well, better you than me.
Going back to earlier in the meeting, this is an opportunity we have to keep you informed. We are at the tail end of our design and engineering and project planning phase for a funded by the 2002 Safety and Livability Fund investment into McCabe Park, which is a community park in Northeast Salem. I don't expect you to read the really small font there. I'm going to walk you through what the project is proposing to do. And then if you have any questions, I want to get those answered. My intent here is just to make sure the board is informed of this investment before we go out to construct it. So maybe I'll start right there. The timeline for this project is we're preparing to go out for public bids. So the typical process for the city, we will hire the lowest bidder, qualified bidder to do the project, and that's a formal process. And so we have prepared construction documents that are going to be for the construction contract, and we're about to go through that. We're about to go out to public bid. And so this is a graphic we've shared with NOLA, the neighborhood association. We've had at some community events in 2025, and now I get an opportunity to go over it with you. There are three primary components of the project, which has a budget of approximately $2.5 million. The first one is similar to the work we're doing at Gear Park, is a refresh of the existing natural grass soccer fields. For McKay, I think the real benefits are going to come from a better irrigation system. That's really what this park needs. There's really needs to be investment in the irrigation system, in the water system. There's things like an irrigation pressure pump, new irrigation controller. There's some pretty expensive components that are really going to support this, not just the soccer field, but maybe future improvements to the softball field and baseball field, and then throughout the park. So that's a component, is the soccer fields themselves.
Will that include provisions so that they will drain and be usable year round?
Yes, we're going to have the same under drain system, or I shouldn't say the same, a very similar under drain system that we're doing at.
No, this is natural grass or, okay.
But I said between the irrigation system and the new drainage system, they're going to be much more usable throughout the year. The hope is. I'm going to go up here to kind of this area of the park where we are going to remove a really kind of rough looking old playground facility. I don't know if you've been to McKay. There's no playground equipment there. It hasn't been for some time. It's this very massive concrete and boulder leftovers from this old playground. And so we're going to be demoing that and restoring that as some lawn area with shade trees. And a portion of that area, we're going to be developing a reservable picnic facility. With that, we will have hookups for a food truck. So you can reserve this space, and you could get a permitted food truck in there. You have an event there, a community group can have an event at the park. We're hoping, again, bringing in positive use. And then the third major element, so I got the picnic shelter, you got the soccer fields. The third one is permanent restrooms. Initially, we were going to do a structure with 4 stalls. That's evolved. We're going to try something new to the city of Salem. We're going to do prefabricated stainless steel single-user restrooms. Specifically, we have done an RFP, and it's going to be the Portland Loos. So if you happen to know what a Portland Loo is, they're going to be 2 Portland Loos. These are again, stainless steel, single stall, restrooms. They have, design features to them that make them, less attractive to just kind of hang out in and do things you're not supposed to do in a public restroom. They're relatively easy to clean. And they're gonna be located where the chemical temporary toilets are currently. I'll tell you, this park has, or Jen can tell you, this park has some problems with vandalism to those temporary chemical toilets, so that will be hopefully getting rid of that issue. And we have never used these in the city of Salem, so in a sense, we're trying something different. I'm very careful to say it's not a pilot project. These restrooms are are a significant investment, so I would not call that a pilot project. But it's a calculated pivot to what we've done in the past. We're going to be ideally having the contractor start construction in May, June, right when we have those gear fields opening for public use, so that we don't have 4 soccer fields offline at the same time during the business time of year. And we should be able to complete this project within the summer construction season and have a nice grow in, which we did not achieve a year. We were really late to seed, but we're hoping that we will be able to seed that in those new soccer fields much sooner, and so we'll have a more tight condensed project timeline in terms of construction.
They play soccer there now, don't they?
Yes, they're
Lots of soccer.
very popular soccer fields.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The parking gets pretty tight there too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're all.
Yeah, they're not, both lots aren't very big.
And I should mention construction updates. Once we do take over here, we're gonna be letting the contractor use this parking lot over here as the staging area. And so it will be closed to the public. And obviously, we'll be closing the construction area off. We are gonna leave this soft path open on this side. However, we're gonna be closing the soccer fields. And we're also gonna be closing this path over here on this side. So there's gonna be some limited access to areas of the park over the summer. It's just construction impacts. I'm trying to get in and out as fast as we can.
But no changes in overall parking? You just mentioned it's kind of tight over
Yeah,
there.
just, I don't know if there's much we can really do about it.
Okay. The development plan for the park does suggest parking lot expansion someday. That was not funded on this opportunity.
Yeah,
though.
because this is the entire north part, the upper part of.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
The only parking that I
Kind of bare.
knew about was just on those different streets that come in there. On the end, there's just a few spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 lots, one on each side.
Yeah, there's it's just off
Another
the,
one
yeah,
is small, that is
assisting, yeah.
residential.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Concerns?
I'll just say Raymond went to NOLA last week, gave them a similar construction update, so we have the neighborhood associations are well aware of the project as well. They're excited.
It looks good. I saw the Portland Loo. I looked it up. They said it's really a neat thing. They're even getting them in New York City.
They're not cheap. I'll just say they're not cheap. That's we're about to.
I saw the handicapped access.
They're fully handicap access compliant. We're about to place the order. How much are we? They're expensive. I don't have the number in front of me. We will share that with you. They're very expensive stainless steel. I'll tell you that.
We don't want to know.
Are there any other questions about McKay Park?
Okay, thank you, Rob. I would ask, you've heard me harp a lot about master plans that never get implicated or implemented. I hate to put more stuff on your plate because you're very busy, but it would really, I think it'd be really nice to have a list of all the master plans on file and what stage they are in, if any. Yeah, I know Woodmansey did phase 1 and.
Could I maybe meet you halfway and set a date like maybe
Next year.
2015, since 2015, so I don't have to go back really far.
Oh, okay.
And then we can just kind of, I could do some, I would be willing to do it if we could say that since 2015,
I would
what's the status of
I'd like to
it?
keep track of
Yeah.
how everything is.
Mhm.
Because I know that when I go to the neighborhood association that I'm in, I've been asked, okay, Woodmansey phase 1 is done, when is phase 2 coming? And I don't have an answer.
Yes.
pay more taxes? I don't know. It's,
Well, we can put that together.
okay,
You have a,
Mr.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just quickly, can we make it 2013? Because that's when the last Parks Master Plan was adopted by SPRAP.
Right?
okay,
Has information in it.
okay, great. Council liaison updates.
Well, I don't want to take up people's time because it's 2:30, but real quickly, on January 14th, we had our first budget committee meeting with the revised 5-year forecast. Last year, 2025 fiscal year, we came in 2 million over budget, and we're looking at more increases in PERS and health insurance. Just wanted to give you a heads up, also at that. And then coming up on Tuesday, we're having a city council work session on options for city operations fee restructuring. The city operations fee makes up about 15% of our general fund, or 10% of our general fund right now. And I know a lot of people have feelings about the operations fee. I just wanted to let you know that work session is coming up, because not only are we gonna be looking at revenue and expenditures and the importance of the operations fee, but also other things that the community has asked for in terms of policing, homeless services team, et cetera. So if there's interest, that's coming up on Tuesday at the work session. So that's it. Okay.
In terms of money, is there any interest in applying to the state for additional funds, since we can't tax their state property?
That's an ongoing process. I believe Representative Anderson is bringing that bill forward again.
Representative Evans also is pushing.
Okay.
Okay. Board member updates. Anybody have anything for the good of the cause? Mr. Holland.
I've got 3 small items. First, just matter of information. There is a long-term project in the initial stages of development for a Japanese garden to be placed in Pringle Park, adjacent to the community Pringle Park's building that is there now, the community center. Very nice lady who lives at Capitol Manor, Mako Higashi, is one of the principal people organizing this. She's been in touch with you, I believe, Rob, or.
No, it's us.
And Gretchen Bennett also, she has been in touch with. They are the Sister City Association, the Kawagoe Sister City Association is, I think, the principal organizer initiating this. And they anticipate a lot of participation from a number of different groups. The hospital has employees that take breaks over there. They're willing to put in some money towards this, apparently. There is a employee of Salem Kaiser School District that has classes in North that has volunteered to do a lot of work for them. The Kawagoe Sister City Association itself is going to put some in, and they anticipate the city of Kawagoe itself contributing, as they have to some of the other rebuilding of that structure and in the past. So that's in the planning stages, and we'll hear more as it develops. I think that it's going to be a nice project. We'd like to see how it happens. So Gretchen will probably lead that for the stage part. Orchard Heights, Brush College, and Walsh Marine Parks have all been subjects of my scrutiny of late. And I have nothing but praise for the maintenance and work that's being done there by the staff. In particular, the volunteers that have been organized for Orchard Heights and getting those wood chips back on that trail has really improved the mobility and getting around there. It's nice. I am concerned about a stream hazard at Orchard Heights Park that exists. The stream running through that park, that Glen Creek, I'm not sure.
It is.
It's vigorous in the winter, and it has eroded a 10 to 12 foot deep channel through the park that is adjacent, no more than 50 to 75 feet from the kids' playground structure, with lots of kids of tiny ages going in there. And with 50 feet separating them and no barriers, but a grass to a steep slope down to that deep stream troubles me. I think it's a hazard, and I don't know if we should do something about it, but I feel like it, warnings, a sign, flags, a wall, I don't know. Additionally, the erosion that is taking place through the action of that stream is a bit concerning to me too, partly because it is very deep there and the nature of the geology of that region is such that it allows for a lot of erosion. It doesn't involve much rock underneath. It's pretty soft. So it erodes relatively quickly, I think. Might be prudent to have some stream expert look at that and see if we shouldn't drop some riprap at some points to slow the passage of water. I don't know. Stream passages of fish is another concern. I don't know if that's gonna limit what we can do to it. There have been fingerlings planted there of salmon in the past. So I think it's seen as a viable stream. It is the hazard of that stream next to the children's playground is what I'm concerned about. I hope that we can give somebody attention to look at that and see if we can mitigate it.
That's Orchard Park.
Orchard Heights Park, yes.
Orchard Heights Park. Okay, wow, that stream, it sounds like it has gone deeper.
It's 10 to 12 feet deep. The water running through it is only a foot or two, sometimes maybe 3 in the deepest parts during the winter, but it's a canyon.
My mother-in-law takes my 4-year-old over there. She lives right by it and it's, yeah, she's always worried as she gets close to that.
Yes.
They'll go running right up to it.
Yeah, it's, nothing can stop a kid from running right from the swings down to it. What more can be done to inform the public of the bridge project upcoming from the state? Center Street Bridge is the project that's gonna happen, and we know it, and we've discussed the impacts on our trees. I have received comments and questions, observed a lot of concern on the Nextdoor app about people thinking that the trees are gonna be destroyed and it's never gonna be taken care of, but so I'm concerned. I'd like to see if we can do, if we're doing adequate information output so that people's concerns can be addressed on that project. The trees and on both sides. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. Any other reports from anybody? Okay. We had some information reports, and I think we're talking about the update on some of the park development, Fisher Road and some of those. Thank you for that. Keep us apprised of what's happening. I especially like the part where they rejected your bid, your request because they wanted you to ask for more, which is very non-bureaucratic. So keep that up. Good job. All right. Any discussion on that report that was sent to you or the Mission Street Parks Conservancy meeting? Okay. Any new business we want to bring up? Good. All right. In that case, I proclaim that we are adjourned. Thank you all. And thank you all for attendance, please. Zach, welcome. We had a 1 o'clock meeting time. Thank you. That's on.
It's 1 o'clock now, Frank.
You know, hey, Al, you know, I realized the difference there, and I will be at the meetings. I will just be probably 20 minutes late. I teach class right before.
Appreciate